Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Job Breakdown. Today we'll be looking at Summoner, where it is at 70, how I feel about it, and some of the basic things to keep in mind. I'm really happy with Summoner in its current incarnation. Definitely not perfect, and I do have some small complaints that we'll get to in a little bit. But when it comes to playing with a pet job, I think Summoner does a really good job at it. You have the fact that now your pet doing damage can convert your Ruin 2s to Ruin 4s. And those are really cool. They do quite a bit of damage. I really like them. They just look really cool, too. You have the way that Aether Flow works, and the different setups there. You have Enkindle, and how cool it looks. The ability to turn Ifrit into a Ruby Carbuncle. You have your pet's abilities over here, and you can control them yourself. You can tell it when you want it to do its actions. I can tell it I want it to do Flaming Crush here. I normally keep my pets on Summoner, on Sick, and on Scholar on Obey, just depends. You definitely want to keep up your dots, though, on Summoner, which is made even easier by this wonderful move called Try Disaster that allows you to just apply your dots right away. But once you start laying on your dots and getting your Aether Flow stacks going, hitting them with some Festers, always chaining in your Ruin 3 or Ruin 4s, you can get into your Bahamut Dreadworm Trance, which allows you to throw out your Ruin 3s at no extra cost, do extra damage. It also gives you Try Disaster, like it refreshes the cooldown. I normally go ahead and just use it because you get the extra damage. And then you'll see that your job gauge turns blue. That leads to one of the coolest things in this whole game, in my opinion. And I could be a little biased. Summoner for a long time was going to be my main because I really enjoy it. But Dragoon and another job that we're going to talk about soon have kind of taken over for me lately. But as you can see, while all this is going on, we can still use our other moves. We can use a Rouse, we can use an Ether Pact, use a second Dreadfire or Dread Flare, and then we have this wonderful button, which is the best button there's ever been, because it allows us to do this and summon Bahamut, and then we can Akmorn. Summoner is really good. What I like the most about Summoner is that it really fulfills the ideal of laying down a pet job, focusing on setting up dots while your pets do a lot of damage, getting in your Akmorns, summoning Bahamut. Like, it feels like a Summoner, which is really cool. Some of my negatives are that you don't feel like you do a lot of damage sometimes, even though you're doing a lot more damage than you think, because of your dots. And you're almost entirely bound to Aether Flare. Or Aether Pact, Aether Flow. You're almost entirely bound to Aether Flow, which can be kind of annoying at times. I think it comes back relatively quickly now. At a minute, it's not too bad at all. But it used to not be as quick, and it used to be really punishing for a summoner if you died. Because not only did you lose all your stacks, but then you don't have Aether Flow anymore. I think that I wasted a Swiftcast there because I wasn't paying attention. I think that where it is right now, Summoner's a lot of fun, and really an easy job to level, too, because it shares experience with Scholar, which means that you can get a healer right in there without having to give up anything. You don't have to level the healer separately, and you can level Summoner while you're leveling Scholar. What this can lead to, of course, is people that don't know how to play Scholar once they have it at higher levels, or Summoner at higher levels because they've been playing one or the other. I think it's really worth it to play around with both. I think both are really fun jobs. Scholar maybe less so, but I still like Scholar quite a bit. But Summoner is just a blast to roll around with. You have a combat raise, which is already better than like a Black Mage, even though Black Mage has other things that make it stand out. You have the ability to summon Bahamut, which I feel like, maybe we're putting a little bit too much pressure on, but you can summon Bahamut, so I feel like you can't put too much pressure on it, because it's really cool. It is also something to mention, you can change Bahamut's size. If Bahamut's maybe too big for you and you can't see around him or your party members complain about it, you can adjust his size. I think that where Summoner is now is really good at the end of Stormblood, and I'm excited to see the changes. Though I am a bit concerned about what they might do with Summoner. I feel like Summoner already has a lot of buttons. Like, Dragoon has a lot of buttons, but Summoner has quite a bit. You have your 4 Aether Flow actions, all of which have different effects. Bane is so good, allows you to just spread that to other people. You have all your pet actions. and everything there. It's a lot, and I worry that if they add more, it could become even harder to keep up with all the different things you have for Summoner that you can do. And I know that there are some people that look at that and go, man, that's too many buttons. I could never play that. Honestly, if you just want to play Summoner for, like, damage or for soloing, for leveling, you don't really have to worry about a lot of the actions. A lot of your gameplay is going to be Try Disaster, Ruin 2, Ruin 3, Pain Flare, Energy Drain. I always call it Energy Beam, or the gun, because at low levels it just devours enmity. Energy Drain, Bane, or Fester. Like, that's going to be your main deal. And a lot of summoners just let their pets do whatever. I think Enkindle, Aether Pact, and, like, Rouse alone are worth maybe managing your pet a little bit more. And then on summoners, I let them just go when it comes to sick, but there are some summoners that do not. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's such a versatile job that allows you to have an answer to so many different things. You have Ruby or Ifrit. You have Emerald or Garuda, and then you have Titan or Topaz. The question of which one should you use is very situational. If you're doing a lot of dotting and not really doing that much of regular damage, I would say go with Garuda, because Garuda has some abilities that allow your dots to hit a little bit harder, last a little bit longer, pretty good. You're still going to get your Ruin Force, so that's not a big deal. If you just want to focus on damage, maybe go for Ifrit or Ruby Carbuncle, because Ifrit just seems to do a little bit more damage on his own. Again, I don't have parse numbers to be able to tell you whether or not which one does technical more damage, but Ifrit is very good as well. And then, honestly, Topaz Titan is really only for solo. I use it in Eureka, and I use it in some instances, but for the most part, he just doesn't do enough enmity-wise compared to what I can do most of the time for it to matter. You do have the ability to heal your pet in the form of Sustain, which is very nice. Regens their HP over time. Quite a bit of it, too. It's not bad at all. But he's just not quite as good as some of the others, you know? And then, of course, Bahamut is Bahamut, so nothing to worry about there. He is going to Akmorn. He is going to Dreadworm Wave. He is amazing. And he will attack basically every time you attack, for the most part. And then, of course, Akmorn. And as you can see, the damage just piles up there. But as far as role actions go, Addle, Diversion, Lucid Dreaming, Mana Shift, because you can get so much back with Ether Flow and Energy Drain. Really a good idea to get some Mana Shift in there to help out your healers. Or a Red Mage that's having to res a lot. I go a Pocket as well. A Pocket Stasis, just to be able to give that extra shielding to the tank. You still have Physic from Arcanist. It's not that great. It can help out in a pinch, but it's just not amazing. I just don't think you should really worry about using it too much as long as you have a healer. But in a bad situation, Physic can make the difference. With all that said, though, Summoner's in a really good place. I think that picking up a Summoner now, if you're on the fence, is which job to play going into Shadowbringers. I think it's not a bad choice. Again, we don't know what all the changes are going to be yet, but I'm excited to find out. And if there is something you can do to make Bahamut even better, then I am super down for that. I will be ready to see it. Bahamut's great. And even if Bahamut wasn't attached to Summoner, I think Summoner would still be really cool. But Bahamut just takes Summoner to a whole nother level for me. With all that said, though, I have been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Summoner has to offer.